hello. This is Els coming to you today from Bemis Crafty Corner. Forgive my hands. I got all kinds of stuff on them, and I'm going to show you why. Okay? Do you like the look of a well-worn old book? Do you like the texture and feel of a cloth cover? Well, I'm going to show you how to get it and how to emboss it today. 2 techniques, okay? So, sit back, relax, get out your pad because you're going to need to get the list of ingredients that we need to bake this cake, okay? All right, so hold on. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to need a few things. A lot of tools in this one. It's tool intensive. All right, number 1, we're going to need a palette knife, a nail file or sandpaper, an embossing tool, a small embossing tool, a bone folder, and some kind of light brush that we can use for inks, as well as a paintbrush, some normal acrylic paint. We are going to be using some heavy gel medium today. You can also use Fabri-Tac or some other glue that is not water-based. We don't want a water-based glue here, okay? So for my purposes, I have chosen, sorry about the earthquake there, I have chosen the heavy medium, gel medium. We're going to need some water, a container to mix paint, some of our ink pads, and we are going to need some stencils and some punches, or some punches actually. And I want to talk about what's good and what's not. Okay, first off, when it comes to stencils, this is good, this is not. Good, not so good. Good, not so good. Let me show you why. All right, so on this piece where I embossed this took me probably just this half of this piece, took me about 25, 30 minutes to get this to do this, okay? Now, another Celtic knot, like this one, that's very intricate, you can see that's embossed as well. This took me probably about the better part of 2 hours. Okay, and I've been doing this for a while. This is your first time out the gate, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. So, we want something big and easy, not small and detailed. This goes for your punches, all right? Now, basically, these 2 punches punch the same size circle, but one is a circle, and the other one is scalloped. Remember, when you do a scallop like this, you have to come in and do every piece of this scallop. So if you don't want to do that, don't do this. All right? Now, for the purposes of our demonstration, I have chosen to use stars. Let's talk about size. This is a big star. This is a tiny star. This is going to be a little bit more difficult than doing a larger piece. So you want something that's like medium sized here, okay? All right, so we have a couple of pieces of cardstock and a couple of pieces of, this is unbleached cotton muslin. Over the pond there, they will call this calico, okay? Pretty inexpensive. You can find it at Walmart for literally $1 a yard, and you don't need that much. Okay, so let's start with the first technique. And the first technique is actually using modeling paste. So we're going to go ahead and put our star here. And I'm going to open this up. This is my homemade modeling paste. You can use any modeling paste you want. I'll put a link in the description to the video for this, so you can go check that out. And all I'm going to do here is put down a layer of modeling paste. Now, I'm going to keep this pretty thick because I want it to be thick. All right. Take that off of there. Now this first layer, I'm going to let this dry. Come in, and I'm just going to wipe off this little splooge over here. And then I am going to very quickly clean my stencil. It's kind of the one thing I like about my homemade modeling paste. I can literally just spray a little water on here and wipe it all off. No problem. All right, so we're going to let that sit and dry for a second. We're going to move over here to the second way of doing this, and that is the punches. Now, for depth, I chose to use 3 punches. So I'm going to glue these 3 punches together, one right on top of the other, to give me some thickness and bulk. Okay? Now I'm going to let these set up and dry. It'll take a minute. I want to go back on. There we go. Okay. So now we are going to get out our gel medium. We're going to move on to the next part of this. And for the next part of this, we are going to put some gel down. And basically we're going to coat our entire piece. We don't want it too heavy of a coating. Okay. Now I'm using my tools, what I consider to be my best tools, and that's my hands. Okay. So I'm going to put that down. I'm going to put my star on top. I'm going to make sure that I get some of that gel medium on top of there as well. And then I'm going to put some gel medium over here. And you can see I'm coating the whole thing. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my muslin and I'm going to cover this. Cover both of them. Okay. Now, roll that off of there. I'm going to use my fingers to really push down on this. And I'm going to use my bone folder or a credit card or whatever I've got to make sure that I've got no bubbles. I don't want bubbles. No bubbles. Okay? Now, a little bit of your gel medium or your Fabri-Tac may come through. It's okay. Same thing over here now. We're going to press all the air bubbles out. So we're going to start in the middle, press down on that, come in, we're going to get all those bubbles out, coming out to the edge. Bubble right there. Here we go. No bubbles, no bubbles, no bubbles, no bubbles. We don't want air bubbles on this. Okay, so now we're going to come back to this one, and we're going to come in with our scoring tool, and we're going to go around the edge here, just the edge. And that is to really push that fabric into that crease. Now, you may want to do this using your heat gun, just giving it some indirect heat. Don't want to burn your hands, but you're going to dry it as you press this down, okay? I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Drying the gel medium as I'm pressing the fabric into it. All right, and then we want to let these completely dry before we move on. And for the next part of this, we're going to be using some paint and some water. And we're just going to thin out some acrylic paint. Now, you don't have to use this color. It's not specific. You could do this in purple. I don't care. I like to use the brown because I want that old board, old wood look. So all I'm going to do is take some of this paint and water mix, and I want it to be drippy. So this could actually use a little more water. This is why we're not using a water-based glue on this project, guys. That's closer. So all I'm going to do is take the paint, and I'm going to paint it on here. Doesn't have to be too thick, doesn't have to be too thin. I just want to cover it, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing over here. All right, now we're going to wait for this to dry, and then we're going to do a little bit more to it. Okay. So for this next part, we're going to be using a soft brush. Now this is a Wet n Wild makeup brush. See? Wet n Wild. Focus. Thank you. I'm going to be putting some black ink on here. I'm not using Stays On because I don't want it to, I don't want it to be too there. Okay? And all I'm going to do is just gently brush this back and forth across the piece. I'm going to do both of them. I'm also using some Dewdrop Memento. This is potter's clay. Sort of matches the color of my paint. Just a little bit wetter and redder. Wetter and redder. All right, so I'm going to put that on there as well. And then I'm going to clean up my brush. Pretty simple on that front. Just spray it with some water and wipe it off. So now all that's left to do is to seal these. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. And I'll be right back to tell those to you. Okay, so these are both dry. Now, you probably have noticed this spot. And that's just from the glue, from the gel that I used. It's not a big deal. It just kind of adds to the look, the overall look of the piece. So let's talk about how we can finish this. Well, there's a couple of ways. One, you can go with the Krylon Triple Thick Crystal Clear Glaze. This gives you a glass-like coating. You must use this outside in a well-ventilated area. And it takes about 3 to 4 hours to dry, 20 minutes if you live in the desert. The second one is the Mod Podge. This is Mod Podge Matte. This is kind of their basic one. It is water-based, but it gives a nice finish. So you can use this. And what we'll do is we'll actually finish one in this. And then the other one is DuraClear Soft Touch Varnish. This is a velvety finish, and I use this when I'm making anything that I want to have a leather look. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. It was clearanced, so I don't know if they're still going to be carrying it, but if they do carry it, it's about $3 a bottle. So let's start with this one, and we'll use the DuraClear. So I have a paintbrush here with some clean water. We're just going to get the excess paint out of there. And all I'm going to do with this is just give it a good shake. Now don't worry about air bubbles. I'll get those out later. I'm just going to put some of this on. And I'm just going to cover my piece. Now we're going to set this to the side. And we're going to let it dry. Okay? Off you go. Now, that does move the black ink around, just so you're aware. You will not get ink movement if you use the Krylon. Okay? But if you use any of these paint-on types, you're going to get some movement on the ink. So let's get this open and get your brand new bottle. So. All right, clean up our blade here. Get my brush. I'm going to get some of this out. Now, like I said, this is clear. It's very thick. So we're just going to put some of this on. Again, it's going to move the ink. Not so much movement on this one as on the other one, but it still does move it. Okay? All right, let me get this closed up. Get my brush clean. All right, this is what it looks like when it's sealed with the Krylon. Okay? You can see some of the Krylon actually absorbs into it. Other pieces of it stay up. It has kind of goldish looks to it. It gives it some tones, different tones and things. So that's the Krylon, okay? This is the Duraclear soft velvet. And you can see it doesn't look really finished. It's just dried. It looks dry. It is sealed. I can feel the seal on it. And it does have that velvety touch to it. It's just not the look that I would go for. And then there's the Mod Podge that we use, the paper mat. And this one here, again, you can see the rays. You can see the ink. You can see there's some movement to the ink. There's not a lot of gloss on this at all. But you can tell that it's sealed. So that is 2 techniques and 3 sealing techniques that you can use to emboss your books. Now, I know this was a very brief overview, okay? And I will probably be doing a class on this so that we can really kind of get, down and dirty with it. And I can show you some other techniques for this and expand upon the techniques that we've used here today. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you give it a try and then let me see your projects. As always, you can post those over on Bima's Crafty Corner on Facebook. I'd love to see them. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And I think that's pretty much it. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to me on the bottom. Ring my bell. Like me. Share me with all your friends. We're playing with paper and fabric and Krylon. Till the next time, guys. Bye-bye.